All right. Okay. I said, all right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. What's going on? What's happening? This is your girl, Golden Dark Dame, number one self proclaimed DC's number one Power fan since day one, Power Universe fan. Hashtag Power Never Ends and all of that good stuff. I'm here with the review of the final two episodes of season three of book two, Power Book Two, rather, Ghost. And these two episodes 9 and 10, got leaked. In case you weren't aware, which I don't see how you couldn't be at this point. That's part of why I am just now putting out my reviews for the episodes. So just following episode 8, there was a break in airing, and somebody was compelled to leak episodes 9 and 10. So you should definitely be up to speed at this point in time. If you are a viewer, you should be all caught up by now because episodes 9 and episodes 10 have aired. And so we have come to the end of season 3 of Power Book 2 Ghost. So, again, this is your girl Golden Dark Dame. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share this video among other viewers, anybody that you may talk to about this show, this program, and how hot and exciting it is. And also make sure that you follow my profile on Instagram. That is Golden Dark Dame, GOLDNDARK_DAME on Instagram. So this is my review of the conclusion of season 3, and anything I include on my reviews is for entertainment purposes. Nothing is factual unless I state otherwise specifically. Okay, so it's all in good fun. I'm sharing my thoughts and opinions and my summary on everything to do with these episodes. So for episode 9, it started out with we're coming back from things getting hot with Effie having gotten arrested, right? So people are getting put on and becoming made aware that Lauren is still alive. Surprise, surprise, but not a surprise to everybody, right? So that's what's leading up to episode 9. And so now we got Kane, who is he's been trying to get in touch with Tariq, and we see that Tariq, is hustling himself because he's trying to understand what just, trying to make sense of what just happened with Davis and his brother taking the attorney Sachs hostage and taking his life as well as his own life. This is what Davis's brother just did. It's like the next day, the morning after. And so, like I said, we see Tariq scrambling because, he has awareness, obviously, the reason why Davis's brother took Sachs hostage because he felt like there was some type of conspiracy that was going to threaten not only his freedom, but also threaten his brother, Attorney Davis. So Tariq is back in the office, in Davis's office, literally, and he locates this file, this police record that indicates the patriarch of the Tejada family, Lorenzo, and this file shows proof that he was at the scene of old boy, what's old boy's name? Zeke's murder scene, right? Because this is really what the driving force is behind a couple of different things happening. So, but like I said, because Kane was with Effie when she got arrested this second time, and now, justifiably, he's trying to get people together to help her out, to ensure that she's not put in a position where she has to blow up everybody's spot with their operation. So Kane is going to see to meet up with Tariq. Well, actually, he's going just to the office, but it so happens that when he arrives, Tariq is also there, and so um, they encounter each other and they exchange words. Not so much of a meeting of the minds, because ultimately, so after Tariq and Davis kind of put their heads together, so to speak, Tariq notices that Davis is, having a moment of reflection off the fact that they both witnessed Davis's brother take his own life. And so, um, Tariq, provides due acknowledgement to Davis about that. And they have a moment of relating to each other because he tells Davis about the fact that he witnessed his sister's life being taken, you know, right before his eyes. So, they both have this in common. They witnessed their siblings' lives end. So beyond that, though, Davis is letting Tariq know again, what's at stake as far as Tariq finding out about this police record of Lorenzo, because this is his first awareness of it now. And so, like I said, Davis is just letting him know, okay, this is what the situation is. Monet wanted this information. That's the reason why I have it, and just spelling it out to Tariq to give Tariq peace of mind so that they can remain on the same page with each other, with no suspicion of there being any underhanded efforts in play. So we see that Jenny and Detective Blanca are still you know in the midst of compiling their investigation, and so they get contacted, and ultimately, or inevitably I should say, this contact is to not only inform them, but to get them, one of the two of them at minimum, to be able to ID Sachs. So this is their this brings about their awareness to the fact that Sachs is no longer with them. And so, as you can see, Jenny has an emotional reaction naturally. They all do, but more so is focused on Jenny's emotional response, considering the fact that, they had an intimate relationship coinciding with their work relationship. And so this propels Jenny to the point where she's bothered, she's upset, and it gets her to the point where she consciously states and decides that she has an axe to grind as far as being compelled to want to finish the work that Sachs began by way of this investigation, even occurring. She pays that credit to Sachs because Detective Blanca has some, she's expressing some disdain, and she's referring to Sachs as having been an idiot. And so Jenny and the male detective here check her about that and let her know, like, have some respect here. He was one of us. Like, we were all, working towards the same goal. We had the same effort in common. And so, again, Jenny, again, checks Detective Blanca, lets her know, like, he's the reason why, we've gotten this far, and I'm not going to let things go. So, furthermore, we have the Tejada family, and so they're bracing themselves with concern because from episode 8, rather, the last thing we saw was awareness that this other family that's close to them has Drew on their radar upon having seen his viral moment, the video where he's mentioning Gordo, they assume. And so they already know that they're going to seek to approach him again about that. But aside from that, Sachs, had anticipated his death. And so because he planned ahead, we're seeing correspondence coming from him that's, being sent out. And so the Tejada family has just received a letter from him. And it's within this letter, the text of it is implicating Tariq. So this is the impression he wants to give to the Tejadas so that, they will no longer be in cahoots with Tariq. So off the bat, this appears to be effective because Monet opens and reads the letter out loud, or else actually Diana reads the letter. They're both analyzing this letter. And so Diana states to Monet that it reads that Tariq is working with the feds to conspire against them. Okay, to conspire against everybody because they're all working together. So this is the impression Diana easily gathers from this letter that is authored by the late attorney Sachs. However, Monet is reluctant to believe this, and she's telling Diana, like, don't be so quick to, believe this just because somebody wrote it. That doesn't mean that it's true. So she tells Diana, do your homework, literally, go find out some things, check some things out, and find out what's going on with this, so that we're not making any assumptions. We need to find out what's what. So Diana agrees to do a little bit of legwork. Now, because in the midst of Kane having been with Effie upon her getting arrested, he's still on the move to connect informational dots. And so he rolls up on Brayden. He calls Brayden to meet him. He rolls up on Brayden and he literally rolls up to him to the point where he hits Brayden with his car door. And he injures him, but he's just wanting to know, like, okay, did you have any awareness that Lauren was still alive? Because that being the case is the reason why Effie just got arrested. And Brayden's letting him know, like, no, dude, no. So because Kane injured him, he was hospitalized. And so now Tariq is speaking with him, and they're catching each other up to speed on the fact that each one of them had a confrontation with Kane, where Kane was accusing both of them, of knowing this information about Lauren, despite him not knowing, obviously. So they're both irritated by it, but Tariq tells Brayden to, focus on what's going on with his family. Brayden, holdings? I mean, not Brayden Holdings, his family's holdings. And Brayden's like frustrated. He's like, can I get a day? Can I get a break? I'm in the hospital. Like, can you give me a break? So Tariq basically is like, yeah. 5 seconds later, break over. So, he's enforcing some urgency upon Brayden to, keep things moving, to keep it moving, literally. So now here we are with, the matriarch of this other family following through to, look for Drew to once more ask him about the whereabouts of her son, Gordo. And so she rolls up to the Tejada family bar and she has this confrontation. It's not a conversation. It is a confrontation with Monet. And so this just results in, Monet is clearly protecting the presence of Drew by telling the woman that, okay, he's not here. What do you want to talk about? So, she states the obvious reason why she's there. And so again, Monet is just, definitely in defense mode and protective mode of her son. But, she's just letting her know, like, Listen, I didn't have any problems with your son Gordo. The last that I knew, everything was fine between him and my son. So it's kind of like you're looking in the wrong place for him. There's nothing I can say. And so the woman lets Monet know, like, that she's weary of her, what she's telling her to not be true, not be transparent. And she's letting her know, you know, I think you got something to do with this and you're not going to get away with it, basically. So next we see Tariq, putting in a request to Obi, which is Noma's assistant, to he's trying to buy some time, basically. And so, he has to barter with Obi in order to make this happen, in order for Obi to even entertain his request to get more time as far as literally doing anything on Noma's behalf. Because obviously, this is a RICO case being built and it's, distinctly being built against him. He's like at the top of it. Things are getting hotter and hotter. So Obi ultimately agrees. And so now that Tariq has this additional time to get things together, he's talking to Governor Tate and also bargaining with Governor Tate. So Tariq is making his rounds, to get things in place, to set things up and arrange things, in order to get what he needs to establish these trade-offs that he needs to make. Then we see Effie. She's still in custody, and she's just biding her time. There's nothing else she can do. But you got several people who are coming to her, and they're ultimately coming to her to trying to ensure that she's not going to spill the beans and that she's not going to blow up everybody's spot. So it's, this is pretty much the focal point of almost everybody right now. Everybody is putting in effort to make sure all asses are covered. And so this is and because after Tariq talks with Governor Tate is also, making a move for his own personal agenda to benefit and, to try to solidify his reputation and his position for securing the seat as, the mayor of New York. So next we see things that the spot is blowing up at what's the corporation here? I keep forgetting their last name, the family's last name, but for Braden's family's company, we're seeing things blow up. And so they're being actively scrutinized because, the cops have shown up to the company, to the office. And so, they're running around with chickens with their heads cut off. And, everybody's asking questions like, what's going on? Is this really happening? How is this happening? And so the result of this is Braden's uncle Lucas, his assistant, is, being scrutinized here because the suspicion is that not only from Braden, but also, his immediate family members, his brother, as well as his father, they start to scrutinize Uncle Lucas's assistant because they know that she has always been his right-hand woman. So like, where is he? Why is this happening? Does he know that this is happening? Again, they're questioning her because nobody including her, knows where Lucas is. So he is up and disappeared, seemingly just right on time, right before the family company is getting invaded. and investigated. So Uncle Lucas has disappeared. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody knows where he could be. All they know, all that's apparent is that he's not around. So that just is making the concern even more intense for the rest of Braden's family. Next, we see some speculation about where he might be, and again, just the fact that no, it's not a setup that his assistant knows anything about. So she's just trying to clarify that she has nothing to do with what's happening. And Braden co-signs that to his dad so that nobody will be looking at her with a large eye of suspicion, rather. So now, back to the investigative side, because we see Jenny and Blanca once again, still working on this case. And so Jenny has received one of the letters that's been posthumously authored by Cooper Saxe. So she opens this letter, this catching her by surprise, totally. So, but she reads this letter, and in this letter, Cooper Saxe is basically, he's basically written to inform her that he knew that he foresaw his death occurring, and he's acknowledging that to her to let her know that he saw it coming and that he did care about her. He did have actual feelings for her. He wanted to hopefully pursue a relationship and begin a family with her had things not gone the way that they ended up going. Finally, he has written to her to not even seek to, keep this going as far as their pursuit of the case, not on his behalf anyway. And this is what he's written in a letter to her to give her some closure to him accurately estimating that he was going to die as a result of his role in the investigation, but also as a warning of sorts for her not to let ambition overtake her good sense. However, she states to Blanca that she's going to continue to pursue it anyway because she's compelled to continue this really for the sake of his death not being in vain. And she expresses her suspicion that really the ones to blame are Davis, Tariq, and the Tejadas. So that is her motivation as well for continuing to pursue the case, for them all to be taken down. But then she sees Davis just moments later. She and Lieutenant Blanca rather approach Davis, and they confront him to let him know that they believe, they're letting him know they're suspicious of him being a motivating factor in his brother taking the life of Saxe. And so Davis just, clarifies to both of them in a hostile manner, reasonably, that no, that's not what it was. And that if there's anybody to point the finger at for Saxe's death, that that Jenny is the first one who would be granted that finger pointing. So, things are going along, and Tariq and Braden link up after we see that Braden's family's company is being scrutinized, right? And so Tariq is being made aware of this. Braden's informing him of this. Like, the block is hot up here now. And do you have anything to do with this? Like, what are we going to do? Actually, Tariq is questioning Braden on how that occurred. So they're both kind of giving each other a little bit of scrutiny here, as well as some frustration, because Braden knows that, Braden, or Tariq rather, is trying to now urge Braden to find out where your uncle is. He's the missing link here. You need to find out where he is because he gotta go. He needs to be taken out so we can keep our tracks covered and remain under wraps so that he won't blow up the spot. But Braden is expressing to Tariq, listen, dude, I'm not trying to be like you. Like, you asking me to do a whole lot here by locating my uncle for the sake of his life coming to an end. So he also tells Tariq, like, I know you killed your dad. I'm not trying to be like you as far as killing family members. And Tariq gets offended and, tries to indirectly deny that. And Braden lets him know, like, I know the real deal. You don't have to say it. I noticed how you changed. So that told me what it was for you. And again, I'm not trying to be like you. So Tariq is just sticking to the point that, look, find your uncle, so we can continue handling our business without being under the eye, continuing being under the eye that we're being viewed through, this microscope that we're under. Next thing we know, they all convene, but then the police, scoop up Braden's dad so they can, again, start their investigation on their family company. And he gives Braden a message, literally words to live by, because Braden is trying to give his dad some assurance, like, Dad, you don't have to do this. You don't have to say nothing. And he's like, yeah, I do. Sometimes, Braden, doing the hard thing is the only thing you can do, or is exactly the thing that you need to do sometimes. So, he doesn't resist the police coming to, question him. He knows he has to face some portion of this song, this music that's playing, even though he didn't know nothing about it. And so that is followed by us getting a visual of where Uncle Lucas is and what he's doing to attempt to cover his tracks and cover his own ass. So he's talking to the cops and he just gives them a little tidbit to throw them off of seeking to pursue him for the sake of arresting him. He tells them to check out Crash Coin as far as, a direction for them to steer their investigation in, right? And then he hangs up. He's like, because I need to know that y'all are gonna like go easy on me. So I can give you some info, just go easy on me and know that I'm not the cause of this, or I don't have any involvement in this, even though he's lying. This is what he wants the cops to believe. Naturally, again, CYA. So here's his assistant. We see her, packing her bags so she can get the hell out of Dodge, because, she's at the point where she sees that, okay, everything she's been working toward is now become a failure based on this investigation of the family company now. And Braden is trying to reassure her, like, okay, you really don't have to run out like this. But she's letting him know, like, no, I really do. I have no choice. What else am I going to do? I got to get the hell out of here. So he just tells her he's asking her, like, give me an idea where my uncle might be. She's like, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I kind of don't want to. And he's like, if you tell me, I promise you, I'll continue to, defend you and keep your name out of any of this as it may progress. So, but now we know that since this family that's close to Tejada's has come looking for Drew again, that he's remaining on their radar. And they've come to the decision, Drew, he proclaimed that it's his mess and he's gonna handle things. He's gonna, wipe the slate clean. So now we see he and Kane are coming after that family and taking them out. And so they do so by way of, a chemical agent. You could say by way of chemical warfare here. So they take out the remainder of this family by way of gassing their restaurant. They ensured that that family was locked within their, business establishment to where they could not escape. Right. So that's how they set it up. And they go in and make sure that, they've done a thorough job. So they got to make sure nobody's still breathing. So Cain and Drew enter after they had locked them in there and gassed up the place. They go inside and we see them checking for any potential remaining signs of life, right? And so at this point, the mother, Evelyn, she's still alive. And so Drew was apologizing to her for the point that, they all see that her life is about to end. He's apologetic about this whole situation because, he's just recalling the point that the reason why this is happening is because he killed Evelyn's son, his lover, Gordo, right? But, this is something that he decided was necessary. And so she makes a confession to him before she takes her last breath, which you see he just calls her to take her last breath involuntarily, but she lets him know that, listen, your mom is the one who wanted your dad dead. That's why your dad is dead. So again, this is a confession. This is inside information. And so Cain is like, what'd she say? And Drew keeps this information that Evelyn just relayed to him to himself. He does not let Cain know what Evelyn just told him, which is useful in the moment. So we got Diana coming and, she's doing her investigating of Tariq to see whether or not he is doing what Sachs wrote in his letter to their family. She's double checking. She's coming to verify whether or not he's working with the cops, right? And she asked him this. And he flips out. It's like, what are you talking about? How could you even ask me some stuff like that? What would I look like? Right? So, but again, she's doing this out of necessity because she needs to do this for her family so they can, again, have accurate intel. So he's like, no, what are you talking about? So he storms out. And what happened? I think did he kick her out here? Let's see. Oh yeah, forgot about this part. She asked him. So like, listen, after all the smoke clears with this, what's gonna happen between us? What's gonna be the deal with us? And so Tariq's reaction is, listen, you got to do your own thing and I got to do mine. So he just really expresses very strongly indifference around anything continuing or progressing between he and Diana. So then that whole conversation even gets interrupted because he gets a phone call from RSJ. She also asked him, okay, well, are you saying that based on anything around Effie? Right? And he's just like, look, like I said, she's telling her, like, you gotta do you, I gotta do me. And that's just what it is. So he said, put yourself first. After this situation with Effie, she's like, listen, I'm not her. And he says, again, he goes from indifference to being dismissive. He was like, I don't have it in me anymore. So, he's clearly preoccupied as well as frustrated. And so, this is in conjunction with him addressing Diana's question as far as, what's the future going to look like for us? That's what he had to say. So beyond that, yeah, so he leaves, but she sneaks back into his dorm room and she locates the police file that indicates that her late father, Lorraine, accidentally took his life. He mistook him for being Mecca, and he thought that's what he was shooting at. So yeah, dad did it. Mom, when I let mom know, or else just the fact that whatever awareness came gathered around what really happened, and it was brought to Renee's attention, he's letting Diana and Drew know that, yeah, mom didn't want me to, mom threatened me. So that's why I didn't tell y'all before now. So now we're at this point where they're all blowing up Mama Monet's spot. And it gets ugly. It gets ugly right here. However, they put her on blast kind of adequately, I must say. It was definitely warranted, and it was bound to happen. It was just a question of when was it gonna happen, right? So they put her on the spot. Like, listen, you a liar. You're vicious. How you gonna, kill our father? Diane goes off on her, on Monet, specifically. They have their direct one-on-one. Diana's telling her, like, how you gonna take our father from us? What was you thinking? Like, you that self-centered, da da da. So after Monet attempts to lie and, can see that her kids are not believing her and that they know better not to believe her, she just reacting with, okay, yeah, this is what happened. I did this. I would do it again. I would do it for y'all. Why are you trying to paint your dad to be out to be a martyr, as if he did no wrong and as if he had no fault? Like, he killed Zeke. That's why I did what I did. So they're not accepting nor receptive to that. And basically they all gang up against her. So that's the end result of them confronting her. And they're bent. They are bent at and by Monet. So now Tariq, he hired this. I mean, can you tell what this individual is? Because I can. Definitely upon hearing them talk. So he had hired this individual, Pinky, to check out Braden's whereabouts, right? Making sure that Braden is doing what he asked him to do, basically. And so, yes, we see that Braden has gone the distance. He has located his uncle. And so he's speaking to him like, dude, why don't you just, stop hiding out, be upfront with some of the information, like face the music. And so his uncle is letting him know, like, dude, why would I do that? Like, I don't have to do that. I'm not trying to do that. Braden's even suggesting that he leaves the country. And he's like, what if I get bored? Again, he's just being reluctant to take any advice that Braden is trying to persuade him to follow for the sake of, giving off some peace of mind to Braden, to Tariq, to the rest of Braden's family, right? And so, I mean, this is what happens next. They're just in disagreement, and he's just letting Braden know, like, expressing that he feels like he can do what he wants. He will continue to hide, and he's going to continue to cover his own ass at any cost, right? So that's pretty much what he tells Braden. Braden is frustrated. He's like why? Like, again, like, face the music, right? But Uncle Lucas isn't trying to hear that. So Braden makes the determination, like, he's remembering what Tariq told him, urged him to do, and this is the move he makes. And yeah, he takes out his Uncle Lucas. And so they built this up to justifiably occur because the way his uncle was talking was as though he just didn't give a fuck about nobody else, right? Again, he's talking like, I'm gonna do what I can to cover my own ass. Like, I don't care about your little friend Tariq, you know, he's ghetto, whatever, whatever. And so that is the motivation enough for Braden to do what he, you know, originally didn't want to do, didn't think he could do. He ends up doing it. And we're back to Effie and seeing again just another person, which now is Kane, you know, coming to seek ensuring that she's not going to tell on everyone, right? And she's kind of like, what is you doing here? Why is you playing like this? You know, you need to get out of here. And so in the midst of this, he expresses to Effie, like, okay, I mean, he does express, you know, general concern about her, humanitarian concern about her and, you know, the position she's in and wanting to help her. She's, I don't need your help. I really don't need nobody's help. My real attorney is coming, so scram. Like, she's being pretty dismissive of Kane. And so, you know, this is catching him off guard. This is throwing him for a loop. However, you know, she's just on her hardcore and he's like, okay, listen, we just want to make sure you don't get sent up. And, you know, I can help you. That's the reason I'm here. But he also, you know, points out the foundation of caring for her, you know, the fact that they were intimate. And again, she's not even really caring. She's very dismissive. Effie is not even, she's not about being sentimental. So, you know, she's just focused on necessity and being focused. And like I said, she tells Kane to scram, and he does. And he tells her, F you, before he rolls out. So now we got what's old boy name? Forget his name. Let's see if it'll come back to me quickly. Because look, next review is following, coming up. So I'll be connecting the dots, these reviews here. One going right into the other. So now we got Two-Bit. Yeah, I can't remember if he was Spanky. But we got Two-Bit popping up out of nowhere. And he is like propositioning / blackmailing Tariq on the spot. He's like, okay, you still owe me money, number one. I'm not going to take you out because you still owe me. So I'll take your car in place of the money. And look, I got something for you. So really, Two-Bit really just took advantage of the whole situation because he was really just there for the sake of making a delivery to Tariq. And that delivery is another one of a posthumously authored letter by Cooper Sachs, right? So this letter indicates information that's compelling him to call, you know, his and his mother, Tasha's former attorney. And he's like, okay, I need you to like move my family because they're in danger. Like, there's a current threat being posed against them right now. And so then we see exactly what that threat is. He rolls up on them from a distance, not really, but you know, that's the impression they want to give off, to check on his family and make sure that his request is being carried out. So he gets to talk with his sister, but then we get unexpected. We get a pop-up visitor, and that individual is who you see. Whose face did you see in the car? Whose face did you see in the car? Yeah. Who is it? It's Uncle Tommy. You ain't forget what his car that he drives looks like, right? So Tommy rolls up. He rolls up, and he's coming to spill blood, right? This is obvious. So listen, we got it where Tommy got tipped off by way of one of Sachs's letters. And this is what's indicated also in the letter that 2-Bit just delivered to Tariq. That's the reason he made the request for Tasha, his sister, and his grandmother to get relocated within protective custody. But I mean, it's looking like it's too late here because Tariq ain't in the house. He's still outside with his sister. But now he is in the house. He's crept his way inside. And Tommy and Tasha, like, he just let her know, like, yeah, I'm still mad at you. So many words, that's what he's communicating. Still mad at you, about to take you out, etc., etc. But then we see what happens next, right? We see what's happening here. And Tariq steps in to block, to shield his mother. Yeah, that right there, that part right there. And so it's like, it's a question of, okay, who's going to pull the trigger first? What's going to happen? Who's going to live beyond this scene? It's hard to tell. Is Tariq actually going to try to shoot his Uncle Tommy? Is he really going to make this attempt? But next thing you know, somebody gets knocked out. Oh, taken out, rather. Yes, that person. And then, yes. So we see one of the three parties that definitely survived, which is Tariq. However, we got questions remaining. Like, okay, where's Tommy? Where's my mom, Tasha? Where's my grandma? Where's my sister? And so, listen, this here, she's telling Tariq, okay, they have a buildup, a literal buildup to the, if you can hear this, I don't know why the captions aren't showing up right here. Okay, now we got the captions back. Listen. Tamika is answering Tariq's question about where Tasha is. But the verbiage, when you hear it, there's a break in the audio right before Tamika tells Tariq the status of Tasha, right? That part right there. That part right there. Let's see if it shows up again. When Tariq asked Tamika, where's my mom? Right? They show her face while she's saying, Tariq, your mother is, and then there's a pause, a distinct pause in the audio before, and they focus the view back on Tariq, just like where it is now, right? And then we Tamika's voice continue by saying, is missing. That was so obviously apparent that was done on purpose, right? Because they could have filled in, they could have continued beyond that pause and had Tamika say any other variation of where Tasha, what Tasha's state may have been. Whether Tasha was shot, Tasha was killed, anything other than Tasha is missing. You see what I mean? So that was pretty iffy to me. That was pretty freaking iffy to me. It was actually kind of sloppy to me as far as the episode goes. It was sloppy to me. I didn't really like it. However, that's how the episode concluded. And again, that's episode 9. So I didn't like how, again, it was kind of sticky. It was kind of sloppy how they did that, as far as, again, that indication of Tariq waiting to be told what the state of his mother Tasha was. It could have been much more streamlined. And because it wasn't, to me, that was sloppy. So anyhow, I didn't like that. And so but that's how it concluded. So, from here, like I said, this is a dual review, special edition, episode 24. Special edition, dual review, because this is the conclusion of season 3. So why not just wrap it all up? We had to wait for both of these episodes back to back to come out, really to be released because of the break in the show. And now, this is what it is. This is what it is. So, yeah, here we are. Here we are.
Which leads into the final episode, the finale of season 3, where the opening consists of reflections of all of the key players, all the key characters. It's literally a reflection. So everybody is able to catch a glimpse of themselves going into this, and the final moves that they're going to achieve. Just for a moment, everyone takes a look at themselves, including everyone's current state, current location. So we've seen Effie being led into prison. She's collecting her jumpsuit. We see Diana walking on the street. We also see Kane sitting. He's having a drink, and he's just kind of chilling in the family bar. Drew, who is still reflecting on his ex, the life of his ex that he took, and he's removing those images that he has of him from his mobile device, and then he catches a glimpse of himself. Lauren, in a highly contemplative mode, as she's back in a protective custody house, and we see Brayden, and Brayden, he's driving, so he's traveling, and last but not least, we see Tariq. So remember, he got knocked in the head, so he's still in the hospital receiving treatment from that. He's now conscious. And also, how did I forget? We see finally the reflection of Monet, and she's on the move and she's packing. And this kicks off episode 10, Divided We Stand. Divided We Stand. And if you usually don't pay attention to titles, clearly recognize that this episode title is certainly going to live up to its name. So, in Brayden's reflection, again, we can tell that he's on the move, and he's actually going to visit Tariq in the hospital. So, they reconvene, and Tariq is, setting the precedent to, kind of big up Brayden for, making the move to take out his uncle. He's just letting him know that was a necessity, and he's praising him for having done that. And, Brayden seems a little bit, reluctant, but, it's just kind of a matter of clearing the air around that. And so Tariq is expressing, they're actually talking about the fact that, that whole matter that happened as far as Tariq, going to his family and seeing that Tommy had rolled up on him in his attempt to take out his mother as well as himself. So they're just reflecting on that. And, Brayden's expressing lack of understanding, trying to understand, well, how did he figure out where they were? And Tariq tells him that Monet is the one who tipped him off to Tommy. Brayden says he doesn't understand why Monet would do something like that. And so, again, they're just kind of, trying to they're mulling over that. Ultimately, Brayden gives Tariq his gun upon Tariq's request because, he's getting ready to exit the hospital. And, obviously he doesn't have any protection of his own. the fact he got brought in there from having been knocked out unconscious. But anyway, he gets Braden's gun, and he lets Braden know, I'll reach out to you. Obviously, he's got some moves to make. And next we see Monet and Nova linking up. So Monet is going to Nova's location where she has her product in storage, and so they have a meeting of the minds. Obviously, this is their face-to-face awareness of each other, meeting each other, and feeling each other out. And so Nova has a few questions for Monet pertaining to Mecca and her ring, of course. And so Monet pretty much clarifies to her that, I didn't want him, I didn't love him, blah, 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 and so forth. And so Nova's assistant, I don't know his character's name, but he's the guy who's always mugging on, Tariq and the other young adults. Something that Monet says tips Nova off to the fact that he did not disclose to Nova the fact that Effie had gotten arrested, apprehended. And so Nova has this look, she's glaring at him with this strong eye of suspicion, to indicate, like, why you didn't tell me that? I didn't know nothing about that. So that gets, kind of hashed out a little bit between he and Monet, having some dialogue around that. And Monet expresses, if Tariq is the one who, told you not to worry about that, or just the fact that, Tariq gave you some intel, she let them both know. She was like, he can't be trusted. So then after things are clarified between Nova and Monet as far as, Mecca having had his final association with Monet, and, the fact that they had Zeke together, that being a child, and Nova obviously affected her operation in her life with Mecca, being taken out. She's asking Monet, like, she kind of asked her, like, was it your goal to kill him? That's how I perceived it. So Monet lets her know, like, I'm not going to admit to you or anybody else, what I have done. However, what I will do is protect my family, even if that comes down to, having to kill somebody. So I'll do that. And so, again, they start and they conclude seemingly having a meeting of the minds and, gaining understanding, of each other's frames of thinking, trains of thought. So Nova is compelled to, she's expressing her dissatisfaction with the fact that her assistant did not keep her informed accordingly, and she cuts his face. And so obviously she's simultaneously doing that as a show of punishment on display for Monet. And it's kind of like, are you clear with me as far as, what my requirements are, what's necessary for me to, move with people, operate with people, conducting business, what's necessary as far as not keeping no secrets. And so Monet's like, yeah, we're clear, crystal clear. And so, this meeting was critical because clearly, from episode 9, Monet's kids have ostracized her. She's been pushed away from all of them. And so her being able to talk with Nova and relate to each other as, mothers, and again, having had dealing with the same man, which was Mecca, all relative to the current need for continuation of the two of them doing drug business. This was a very poignant interaction. And so, just resulted in Monet solidifying herself to, who it matters to the most right now, because she told Nova, I'm your solution, so obviously she's, serving to, again, maintain her own personal stance and remain relevant. So this is how she, presents herself to Nova, and it works out. So her kids are not going to be continuing to ostracize her for much longer, because the next movement among them is she pops up on not only her kids but also on Tariq and Braden, I believe, as well. So she rolls up on them as a means to let them know, like, you got to do what I tell you to do. And I believe she's acquainted by Nova's associate in that same, during that same pop up. So it's almost like a gotcha, to her, to everybody, who feels some type of way against her right about now, and questioning her right now. But she lets them know, yeah, like, I'm in charge of things as far as operations go, and I'm the one calling the shots. So here we go. You do this, you do that, this, that, and the third, so on and so forth. So that's how that plays out. Next, we see Lauren talking among Jenny and Detective Blanca. And so, pretty much she wants to know, really, like, she needs clarity on why she's getting literal guidance. And it's like, are you guys trying to get me to say something specific? She needs to understand, because she's still, she still had, she still had interlocked communication with Tariq. And so, again, she's just trying to, remain up to speed on understanding what's going to happen next. And so she's talking to them, and they're letting her know. She actually questioned them about finding out that, Sax has been killed. And she said, did Tariq have anything to do with that? Lauren's asking them that. And so Jenny is like, yes. And so, but Detective Blanca corrects her to Lauren, and she lets Lauren know, like, we're not sure about that. That's still being investigated. And so, it's very clear to tell that Jenny is hard off to get Tariq locked up, because not only Tariq, but she also, feels that Davis is to blame as well. She expressed it on episode 9 to Davis, like, it's your fault, it's blood on your hands, and which he threw that back at her as well as Detective Blanca when they, try to confront him and threaten to, not blackmail him, but when they threatened to expose, his interaction with Diana as far as providing information that ultimately, played a major role in Sax being killed by Davis's brother. So, all that being said, again, we get to see the stance and the angle that Jenny is approaching things from, as far as being dead set on Lauren's testimony and knowing what they want her to say upon her testifying. So Jenny urges urges Lauren not to do anything reckless, which, she's definitely been back and forth doing that, because she still has contact with Tariq. But Jenny's urging her, don't do anything crazy, leading up to this, kind of like stay focused. And the male detective, Lauren's question about guidance on what it is that she's supposed to be saying once she testifies, he urges her to just state what she knows. He's the one who was like direct with her and tell her, just tell the truth, just say what you know. It's not a need for you to specifically seek to incriminate anybody. Also, Jenny tells Lauren, in regards to her asking that question, that no, you don't need to try to pin anything on Tariq. We're seeking out Effie, because obviously, she's the one who you told us for certain tried to kill you. So it's like, no, don't worry about Tariq. Going for Effie, focus on Effie, and tell the truth. So going back to the fact that Monet popped up on Tariq, Braden, and her kids, minus Diana, following that confrontation, she pulls Tariq outside for a one-on-one, during which she pulls her gun out on him because, she's questioning him about tipping her kids off to the fact that she was the source of responsibility for her husband being killed. And Tariq tells her, how could I have told them? I didn't know anything about that. So he flips the questioning on her, asking her, why did you tip off Tommy to my mom? She has the same answer. I don't know what you're talking about, along those lines between both of them. She continues by letting him know, like, the only reason you're not dead right now is because you're still needed. So you got to keep your little, former and current girlfriends in line and make sure neither one of them blows up the spot of anybody. So she's like, that's the only reason why you still breathing right now. Because if it was up to me, my son Kane would be digging your grave right now. And so, again, she's that's her assignment. She just issued to Tariq, and so she walks off. He walks up as though he's about to, retaliate, but Nova's assistant stops him, by which he also simultaneously informs him, like, look, dude, this cut on my face is because I helped you out by not telling the business to Nova. So you do, he reiterates to him the same thing that Monet just told him, which is like, dude, you need to be grateful right now that you still breathing. He said everything will be better once you're back in Nova's good graces, because obviously right now everybody's under scrutiny. And Tariq is just in a mode where, based on having been knocked out, based on the fact that, again, this happened by way of Tommy coming for his mom, and ultimately coming for the rest of his family members, his mom, his grandmother, and his sister. Tariq is on the tip where he feels he's moving with a high sense of retaliation in mind. Like, every other time we see him speaking, he's talking about or moving like he's on the verge of shooting somebody, or he wants to shoot somebody. So he's in a very reckless mode right now. But so because Nova's assistant, stops him from trying to walk up behind Monet and do something like that was really gonna happen, he leaves the scene. And so as he's driving, he's actually following he's still following behind her, but they're both driving, and so he's following Monet on the road, and he gets cut off by who? Who's the reason he got knocked unconscious? Tommy. So Tommy cuts him off on the road, and now they have this confrontation where they're pulling their guns out on each other, and he's questioning Tommy like, why? How you gonna roll up on my mom? How you gonna try to roll up on my family the way you did? And you was really about to try to take out my family, like, for what? And so, because Tariq pulls out his gun as he's asking this question to Tommy, Tommy relents, and he's willing to answer Tariq. So he puts his gun down. He's like, all right, I'll let you know what happened. He said, but put your gun away first. Because, again, we see that this is the energy that Tariq is moving with. So he finally lowers his firearm, and Tommy informs him, like, so what had occurred after Tariq got knocked out, which, by the way, in case you haven't connected the dots or haven't watched already, Tariq's mom, Tasha, is the one who knocked him out. But I feel like that should be pretty obvious to viewers of episode 9, because she was standing directly behind him. He had positioned himself in front of Tasha once he pulled out his gun on Tommy, when they were all in that protective custody home that Tasha and her mother and Tasha's daughter, Tariq's sister, were all staying in. So anyway, Tommy is telling Tariq the story about what occurred after Tasha, his mom, knocked him out. And so what occurred was he was still pointing his gun at Tasha, but she pretty much, talked him down. Like, okay, wait, so you was about to shoot me before you was about to shoot my son, and you still like you want to shoot me, but my son is laying here. Like, what's going on? Like, come on. So they both focused their attention on Tariq, I guess, to ensure that he's still breathing at minimum, because she definitely knocked him out. And so in the midst of that, they pretty much come to a meeting of the minds, and Tasha is she's backtracking, and she is reminding Tommy of the last face-to-face, conversation, aside from her pleading for her life, because that was the last time that he had actually rolled up on her one-on-one. He was going to kill her. But the interaction they had prior to that, which was their last conversation, and she was explaining to Tommy that his girl, her best friend Keisha, was on the verge of snitching on him. So she is reminding him of, again, that situation, because that was obviously the point where Tommy decided he was going to turn on the remaining St. Patrick's. Okay? So she's bringing him up to speed and reminding him, like, she was going to tell on everybody, remember, da-da-da-da. She's refreshing his memory about that whole situation as a means of causing Tommy to really decide to no longer operate coming for them. So they came to a truce. Tommy and Tasha have come to a truce, and she has talked him down to no longer coming for the rest of their family. All right, that's the appearance. This is a story that Tommy is telling Tariq. And so, obviously, they ensured that Tariq got sent to the hospital, and ultimately, Tasha's back in the shadows again, because even after Tommy, once he pulled out his gun on.
Technical difficulties now returning. So what happened after Tariq got knocked out?
Which, by the way, in case you haven't connected the dots or haven't watched already, Tariq's mom, Tasha, is the one who knocked him out. But I feel like that should be pretty obvious to viewers of episode 9, because she was standing directly behind him. He had positioned himself in front of Tasha once he pulled out his gun on Tommy, when they were all in that protective custody home. And so, obviously, they ensured that Tariq got sent to the hospital, and ultimately, Tasha's back in the shadows again, because even after Tommy, relays this line of events to Tariq, now he has a question to Tommy: where's my mom? Where's she at now? And so, and Tommy tells him, like, I don't know. We both had to dip out, so I don't know where your mom is. Ultimately, to indicate, like, I didn't take her nowhere. I don't have your mom in hiding. Just know that we both had to disappear off the scene from out of the house. So anyhow, um, Tariq is, still reacting, in an emotionally reckless way with, what he says, and, you know, he lets Tommy know, like, that he's, I guess, out for blood. Again, this is talk. But Tommy tells Tariq, like, dude, you ain't got no allies. You don't need to be starting no war. You talking about you want to take Monet out. If you do that, then it's gonna bring fire to the rest of your family. So that's not something you should even be talking about doing. And Tariq is like, oh, forget all that. I ain't trying to hear that. But then he turns around and asks Tommy to be his ally. And Tommy very gently lets him know, like, nah, I ain't got no dog in this fight. Like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. Plus, technically speaking, I'm still, no longer breathing, by way of what's known to people who've ever heard of him, right? And that's true. So he's like, he declines Tariq's ask to be his ally. And before he rides off, he tells Tariq, be smart. So, but it's going to take some more stuff before that possibly sinks in for Tariq. So Tommy rides off, and then upon, after Monet has made it known to her kids, like, okay, y'all working for me, I'm back, and you have to go by my word now. The first assignment is inclusive of her and Kane, she and Kane, rolling up in the Weston family home as they are, as they are mourning the loss of, Uncle Lucas, Brayden's uncle, and his dad's brother. So Monet and Kane roll up in there, and, to indicate to them that, your family owes my family money. And they start collecting by way of taking some paintings out of their home. And Kane roughs up Brayden's brother, forget his name, but Kane roughs him up a little bit. And he also roughed up Brayden's dad. And, obviously this is their way of making their impression on their family, so the Weston family. And then they roll out, and then Brayden's dad kind of snaps on him, like, I told you, like, to leave. I was just gonna leave that life alone. You're not like them. You're not one of them. I guess as far as being gangster goes, that's what he meant. But Brayden, he rolls out after that altercation. And so the next major thing that we see is Tariq and Davis meeting up, catching up, getting each other up to speed. As far as Tommy, being tipped off to the whereabouts of Tariq's family, and again, things going on a bigger scene as far as the legal aspects in the public eye as it pertains to the state. And the SEC having been tipped off to Brayden Enterprises, as being a Ponzi scheme. So they're discussing all those things. And so ultimately, Davis is advising Tariq, like, don't go trying to kill anybody that you're naming to me right now. Not Monet, not Councilman Tate. It's like, take the advice that was given to you by your Uncle Tommy, not to go trying to start off no wars. And furthermore, Davis tells Tariq that, he's going to handle, whatever needs to be handled as far as Councilman Tate's knowledge goes on things. And he also tells Tariq that, both of them got to be aware of the legal actions that are surrounding the moves that Lauren is going to make, as far as, and also, additionally, I want to say, Effie. And so he's telling Tariq, like, um, yeah, you need to look into taking these girls out, taking these chicks out in order to cover our asses. Like, they gotta go. And so Tarika, like, what are you talking about? Like, okay, you telling me I'm tripping, but you tripping right now the way you talking. And he tells him, you're tripping. And so ultimately, Davis switches up from that a bit and tells Tariq, okay, well, you have to influence Lauren to not flip on us as far as her testimony goes. Are you still communicating with her? Because you got to get her to do something. And, he's just telling them, you gotta persuade her. You gotta convince her not to flip on us, and put some strategy behind doing that. So they both agree that there needs to be some factor implemented to kind of like invoke fear in her for her to not flip on any of them. So they have to figure out. Tariq ultimately has to figure out what that factor is going to be, what it's going to involve to approach Lauren with. So they agree, and that was also a meeting of the minds for both of them, Davis and Tariq as well, as far as both of them expressing these reckless thoughts about wanting everybody that comes to their minds to die. Because Tariq, in the case to Davis, like, okay, I understand you going through, changes. You got these wild thoughts right now because you just saw your brother take his own life. But listen, I lost my sibling in front of my own eyes as well. So it's like, again, they have this very strong commonality as far as the loss of siblings go that they both witnessed. So anyhow, that's a meeting of the minds for them. That gives them, a common ground to stand on with each other as far as, what they're trying to navigate here. And so things go to Effie. So she's already been transferred within the prison. Her cell has been changed. She doesn't know why. She asks the guard that's taking her, which happens to be the same guard that was moving Tasha around when she was apprehended back from the start of this series. Following up the finish of the series Power. So this is the same guard. We get to see her anytime anybody gets locked up. But either way, she's transporting Effie to a new cell, and Effie asks her why. She doesn't give her any type of insight, but shortly after she is put into this, makes this cell transfer, she receives a text message, which is coming from Kane, tipping her off to let her know, like, watch your back, because Monet pretty much got word out to come down on you. And so now we see exactly the result of that. What it has led up to is somebody infiltrates Effie's cell, and they attempt to take her out. Fortunately, Effie is prepared once this other prisoner enters her cell, and she's able to effectively defend herself and disarm this other prisoner who came in. So, and then next thing you know, guards are entering her cell, and the same guard that brought her in there has some choice words. But then also, I guess moments later, they try to play it off like none of this even occurred, because she lets Effie know, like, you have a visitor, and that visitor is Tariq. So he's paying her a visit to, try to give her some guidance, just like Kane attempted to do. But on that same token, she has the same reaction to him that she had to Kane, which was, I don't need your help. Basically, she's turning down input from anybody that's not her actual lawyer, and she keeps giving the same story as well, as far as my lawyer's on the way. I'm going to see my lawyer soon. So I'm convinced that she doesn't actually have a lawyer. This is just something that she has been telling them as a means of bypassing their guidance. You know what I mean? Because obviously she feels betrayed all the way around. The Tejada family already did it as far as her getting apprehended on the street back on episode 8. And she confronted them about it after she got let go. But she did let them know, like, all right, I get it. And I would have done the same thing to y'all. So obviously she's upholding that stance when Kane tried to approach her and give her guidance in episode 9. And now Tariq's making the same approach, similar approach. However, Tariq's is a little bit different because what he's telling her is useful as far as a clear means of her being able to get released, despite her talking about having the ability to post her own bail and how she didn't need any financial help from anybody to get out. She's going to be getting herself out. He's like, well, you can't post bail. If you do, pretty much it'll be a waste of money because you're going to get indicted as far as you'll be forced to testify. So it's kind of like, just stay here until the trial happens. And after that, you'll be able to, get freed. And so she's just like, you only talking to me because you want something from me. He admits, I want that picture that you said you got, to figure out where Nova's daughter is. And she cuts off his idea around that by telling him that she already found out where Nova's daughter is. He's like, huh? And again, she iterates to him, listen, I'm not going to give you what you came asking for unless and until you get me out from behind these bars. So he leaves the prison, and now he's convening with Braden and Kane to formulate a plan. Basically, he's briefing them on, what they have to do, what needs to happen going forward. So he lets them know what needs to happen as far as the result of Evie's testimony and how, they hope that will size up, as well as him actually telling them a plan on how to approach Lauren in order to affect what her testimony will be. And so that plan is for them to stage, hostility towards Lauren's parents and photograph it, and then use those images, obviously present those images as a means of intimidating Lauren, and again, persuading her to, telling her once you testify, this is what you need to be saying, otherwise your parents are in danger, they're going to be in danger. So they agree. And so then he communicates with Lauren. He sends her a text message to coordinate meeting up with her. And she's responsive. So he meets up with her, but it's actually a little group meeting because not only is it him, it's also Kane and Braden busting out from behind trees, and they're in a park. And so she came prepared with a weapon, just like the first time that she lured Tariq to a park to let it be known to him that she was actually alive and not dead. But upon this meeting, the capture of images that's provided in order to persuade Lauren, Tariq and Braden get to see that this is not what was part of the plan, because these images are of Kane and his brother Drew literally having taken captive Lauren's mother and father. Now, pause from me actually reviewing this episode, because now I'm imparting a thought. I think, my impression is the possibility that despite Tariq's expression, like, this was not part of the plan. Maybe it actually was. Because either way, it's giving off the same effect to Lauren, as far as it disturbing her to see that, her parents can be put in a position to be held captive. Because that's what Kane and his brother did. And that's, again, the image that Kane showed to Lauren through his phone. And so after Lauren agrees to, follow the directives of them as far as what her testimony is going to be, she also lets them know, like, you're despicable, so many words. She's near tears. Either way, once she leaves the park, Tariq and Kane and Brayden, come to the determination, like, dude, is your brother still with her parents? Like, tell him to let them go, etc., etc. And again, it ultimately had the same effect as what Tariq's original plan was that he spelled out. So I kind of don't understand the big issue with it, but but that's what happened. That's what they did. And again, at the end of it, that part went accordingly. So not according to their plan to a T, but it did result accordingly to their desires. So then, at the beginning of the episode, we had seen, the first stepping stone of Councilman Tate, as far as, he has had success with his campaign now. And, he's going to the next level. Like, he's actually going to become the governor of New York. So he's going from councilman to governor. He's in that transitional phase right now. And so, he took this opportunity to propose to his love interest, which is, the professor, one of the professors at the school, and that is Harper. So he proposes to her, and she accepts the proposal. And we see now at this point, connecting back to that, he's at his first, inaugural event. And so Davis rolls up on him to let him know, like, I know that you're responsible for the leak of information about Brayden, about Weston Holdings being fake, and like, dude, you messed up a lot of things by having done that. So what you need to do now is, you gotta give me some intel. You need to do this and that now, because what you did create some problems, some far-reaching repercussions. Now, in the midst of Davis and new Governor Tate having this dialogue, Harper is nearby. She overhears some of their conversation, and it detracts her. So we see, the distasteful expression on her face, and then she walks off, and somebody approaches her about doing an interview. And, her reaction to that indicates that she's, wiping her hands clean. She indirectly expresses that she's wiping her hands clean of, Governor Tate. And then she walks off. So another pause. Aside from my review, this is a side thought. Harper, like, sweetie, so you already broke up with him once, back from what, episode 7 or 8. You call him, and he expresses gratitude, and you reaching back out because he definitely was trying to reach you, chasing after you. So you call him back, and upon that happening, he elicits your assistance for something that resulted in you exposing Weston Holdings, right? So you're a university professor. Do you not realize that this man is a politician? And what comes with that territory? Because how are you, like, becoming upset at every other thing that you recognize that he's doing, and then simply because you're not in agreement personally with it. Like, he's a political figure. Like, he's doing what, comes with the territory of that. So why are you so easily emotionally triggered by overhearing certain things that he's doing? Like, what's really your issue? Like, either you with it or you not. Like, and she keeps like teeter-tottering when it comes to Governor Tate. So this is a display of her being that way once more. And it's a little confusing to me. It's actually a little annoying to me. But either way, that was her reaction. And again, it's giving, oh, I'm done with him. Even though he just proposed to me, I'm not gonna marry him. Like, just like that. So yeah, and so now, because Lauren is shook, she confers with Jenny, and for the sake of letting her know, like, I'm not about to get on that stand and incriminate nobody. I'm not about to lie on Tariq just for the sake of you basking in, professional glory and getting a win at my expense of my future well-being. So Jenny is like, well, what are you talking about? And Lauren tells her, let me talk to Effie if you're trying to get Tariq incriminated. And Jenny's like, I can't do that. I've already, surpassed ethical restraints as is. That's too risky, all this. And so Lauren is telling her, Effie can flip on Tariq based on what I tell her, which is that, ultimately Tariq wants to get with me. And so Jenny was like, well, did he tell you that? And Lauren's like, no, but Effie doesn't know the difference. She wouldn't know that to be true or not. So Jenny's thinking about it, and so next thing that we see is Lauren goes to visit Effie, and so they have their conversation, and Lauren is studying Effie as they're talking. She's just kind of gauging her. So we're seeing a new and improved Lauren. Direct analysis. Lauren has wised up, and apparently it's by way of the anger that she has, I guess, attributed to having been left for dead and set in protective custody and just not being able to live normally. She's been hiding. It's built up this frustration to her that has clearly changed her personality. So again, she moves very differently now. And that's what we're seeing in motion here with her interaction with Effie. So either way, they're talking, and she asks Effie kind of like, what do you think is gonna happen? After all of this is said and done, what do you think? Potential result of all this is gonna be? As far as Tariq goes or anything goes. And so ultimately, Effie just expressed a comparison of herself to Lauren as far as, okay, I wasn't born with no silver spoon in my mouth. Because Lauren is talking to Effie like, okay, I mean, it's going to be hard. Like, it's hard now. It's going to be even harder just working around this situation. But Effie tells Lauren, like, girl, in so many words, Effie tells Lauren, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. I've always had it hard, unlike yourself. So ultimately, that's, what they say between each other. And then, Lauren pretty much also asks Effie why she tried to kill her. And she tells her, like, this was never personal. It was just business. However, as far as when you testify, if you tell everything, then it's going to become a personal situation. So this is like an indirect this is Effie indirectly telling Lauren she'll come for her again if need be. And so Lauren reacts. She's like, "Is that a threat?" And Effie's like, "That's the truth." And Lauren lets her know, like, "Well, you can say that, but you ain't really got no power right about now from where you sitting. And you know, you can say that, but you're not speaking from an accurate stance." And so from there, we transition right into the trial. So it's finally that time, and Lauren is in the courtroom, and Jenny has her on the stand. So Jenny is proceeding, and she asks her, and so what do you think happens? How do you think Lauren handles this situation? Because Jenny proceeds to, ask Lauren to pretty much verify what she wrote in her victim statement in regards to, Effie's attempt to, again, kill her and leave her for dead. And so she's asking, very general questions leading up to referencing the witness statement that Lauren made and signed. And so Lauren's response is, "Yes, I signed that and I wrote that because you told me to." Whoa. So furthermore, Lauren testifies that she had been experiencing panic attacks and other issues that indicate psychological and emotional distress around the time of that incident. So this is the manner in which she turns the case upside down, for Jenny, for the legal team. She turned that thing on its head. She turned the whole case over. Really, that's the result of her testimony. And really to watch it is like, it actually makes you feel sorry for Jenny a little bit. It makes you feel sorry for Jenny, for Detective Blanca. It has you kind of thinking, well, damn. And so, after this trial concludes, and Jenny lets them know that, okay, Lauren flipped. She literally flipped on us, and lets them know, like, her testimony, is not gonna get us, convictions for anybody. We see Lauren is back with her family, and they're actually departing to go wherever. They're literally leaving their household, and Tariq texts her asking her, "Are you okay?" And she does not respond. She rolls out the door with her parents, and they go on their way. And then we see Effie getting released, to where Tariq rolls up to, meet her upon her exiting the prison. And so, again, he's rolling up to meet Effie as she's walking out. And, she keeps her word because, apparently all of this leads up to him helping her get out, right? So she's getting released. And so she's sharing with him, she's providing to him the information about Nova's daughter, which is that she's around their age. She's not a child as appearing in that photograph that she obtained. But either way, she gives Tariq the deets on Nova's daughter, tells her that she attends NYU, and, it appears that, she's an individual, she's a citizen who's on the straight and narrow by the looks of it. So then Effie asks Tariq, "So, all right, what's the deal as far as me and you go?" Now, remember, she's the second one who's approached Tariq with this question now, because Diane was the first back on episode either 7 or 8. I'm sorry, either episode 8 or 7 or 8. Sorry. Diane asked Tariq this question already, and he, pretty much dismissed her. I believe it was episode 8. He dismissed her, and now he's getting the same question from Effie. He gives her a similar response to that he gave Diane, which is, you've been on your own before, right? So he's alluding to that, kind of like, you'll be on your own again. Like, we have no connection.
From episode 9.
And Effie's like, really? So what about the stuff you said when we was in Italy? That didn't mean nothing? That's just out the window now? And he pretty much lets her know, kind of like, yeah, because of the fact that you linked up with Kane, and, it's kind of like nothing else to be said beyond that, right? So she proceeds to start walking, and he's watching her like, where are you going? And she was like, I'll make my way just like I always do. So she ain't even trying to get a ride from this nigga, like, to make it back anywhere, make it back in the city, which in my opinion was extreme. Because, sweetie, prisons be out in the cut. And you on foot? Like, come on, girl. If anything, if she was smarter than what we've seen her to be thus far, she would have waited to ask him what was up between the two of them after, he took her to wherever she needed to go. But either way, she's walking up the road like she's just gonna, walk her way off the prison yard. And she does. So yeah, man, like I said, Effie, that's a show of hardcoreness if I ever seen one. Because he just thought, like, I can't trust you because you linked up with Kane, dude. And I think even despite being a woman, I could relate to him on that point. Like, how could she and he go back to being anything based on the affiliation that arose between her and Kane? Like, I could feel him on that. So then the next thing we see is Tariq and Brayden linking back up, one-on-one, and, he's sharing the information about Nova's daughter to Brayden, like, okay, once we get to her, we'll be able to get out from under Nova. And so Brayden he's like in his own head, and all he says to Tariq is like, dude, I ain't even trying to be bothered. I'm trying to be done with this now. Like, right now. He's letting Tariq know he wants to get out of the game. He's like, I'm not built for this. Dude, I really can't. I can't. I'm not trying to do this no more. I can't be involved with this no more. My family is affected personally, and I know you feel like what I did was a necessity, taking my uncle out. But dude, I killed my own family. I already told you I didn't want to be like you, and now I am, and I'm trying to put a stop to this now. So, like, they're sitting in this diner, and he rolls out. Like, Tariq is trying to, reason with him, like, dude, what are you talking about? Can't do this now. And Brayden's like, yeah, dude, I gotta roll. And he rolls out just like that. So now Diana pays a visit to Tariq in his dorm, kind of surprisingly, but she's definitely coming to him on a non-personal level, right? Or should I say a non-romantic level. So she comes and she's talking to Tariq about the fact that, the current state of things as far as Monet being in control is concerned. And she telling Tariq that, or Tariq tells her, like, yeah, I know she thinks that I tipped y'all off to having your dad killed. He said, but I didn't know anything about that. So, he's just informing Diana of Monet's negative speculation about him. That's not even accurate. And so Diana ultimately lets Tariq know, like, well, she a problem. None of my siblings and I, specifically she and Drew, we don't care for her. I want her dead because of knowing what she did to my dad. This is just the reckless talk among characters. This episode is all over the place, right? First it was just Tariq, then it was Davis talking about who he felt like should be taken out, and now it's Diana talking about wanting her own mother dead, right? So she's telling all this to Tariq and pretty much hatching out a plan stemming from the basis of she and her brother Drew and a conversation that they had one-on-one. And so that conversation between Diana and Drew, it actually flashes back to, the end of their whole debacle with Monet at the conclusion of episode 9. So, after they all blew up on Monet, and, she and Drew had an exchange of physicality, Monet and Drew, that is, the 3 kids, Kane, Drew, and Diana, walk out the house. And so Diana and Drew are having a conversation to which they're, obviously discussing their angst and their disgust. And Diana's like, man, it's either her or us. Like, we can't have no dealings with her. Like, she's despicable. She killed our father. We should not accept that. And so Drew is also expressing his distaste in reflection of the fact that, dang, she set me up to kill, my lover, Gordo, and, excuse me, not his lover, but the fact that Monet arranged for him to take out people, obviously, for the sake of Monet covering her own ass, right? So they're just going back and forth, with their realizations of Monet's undermining and how she used them, again, to keep the speculation off of herself, keep her own hands clean. So Diana proposes to Drew, like, we gotta kill her. We gotta kill our mom. And so Drew suggests that, okay, let's keep our hands clean of it, and we can set it up, but we'll blame it on Tariq. So this is what he's telling Diana. As a means for Diana's, wishes to play out, he's like, this is how we can cover our tracks. And so Diana's trying to understand how that will work. And she was like, well, no, because Kane is going to want to take him out if we do that. And Drew was like, so what? He's like, we set it up so that Tariq kills Mom and then Kane will kill Tariq. So this is a plan that was hatched before Diana even comes to Tariq. And this is explaining why Diana is coming to Tariq right now. See? So now she's telling Tariq, she's explaining to him, like, we got to do this fast because we only going to have a limited opportunity to make this happen if we both, are willing for her to be taken out, which we know that Tariq does. Tariq wants this. We know this from the top of this episode. So he's like, all right, what's going to happen? How's it going to work? So she tells him, well, she been wanting me to come over, so I'm going to go over there. You just follow me over there. You be sitting outside waiting in the car. And once she and I get in the car, once I pull off, you pull up and, assuming from the front of the vehicle, she's telling Tariq, Diana's telling Tariq, once I stop, you'll get out and you'll shoot her at least twice. So that's the plan that is hatched between Diana and Tariq. So she follows through with this, and so she goes she goes home to where Monet is, and this is the lure for Monet to be riding with Diana because they're going to go to Mecca's penthouse where Drew is so that the three of them can talk, because Diana's giving Monet the impression that, oh, we're going to all hash it out. We're all going to have a round table. And obviously she's giving Monet the impression that she and Drew wanted to try to reconcile things with her. Clearly, that's the impression. That's the lore. So what happens is Diana doesn't even pull off, because she and Monet are sitting in the car still in the driveway of the house talking. And so by way of that conversation, they end up reconciling to the degree that Diana appears to be now accepting of her mother's, apology and reprisal, expressing regret for having had her husband, her kid's father, killed. So Diana's sitting there, like I said, looking like she's accepting of it. She's, giving the appearance that she now has some empathy and, some validation now from her mother, Monet. However, in this moment, vehicle pulls up as discussed, as planned, and we see, an automatic handgun extended from the window, shooting towards the front of the car. Definitely more than twice. And this gun is shooting across the front of the windshield, like on both sides of the windshield, not only directly shooting at Monet. And so, amidst this gunfire, we see that this is not Tariq who has pulled up to do the shooting, because Tariq has been parked the entire time watching. He even had his car door open. So he wasn't the one who just pulled up and started shooting. It was somebody else. We catch a glimpse of the shooter through the window as they drive off, but it's not very clear. It's not extremely clear who it possibly was. Either way, we see Kane run out the house by the sound of this gunfire. He runs out the house. He runs over to the vehicle. At that moment, the vehicle is pulling off. And we see him open the door to the truck. And we see a lot of bullet wounds on Monet as she has leaned over to cover and protect her daughter, Diana. We definitely see these bullets on Monet. We can't tell if Diana has been shot, but Monet definitely has been. She shielded her daughter. And so Kane sees this. Tariq has just witnessed this all from a distance. And now we see the Tejada children at the hospital. There's blood splatter across Diana's face and chest. They're all in the waiting room, obviously waiting to get word about, status of their mother. So the doctor does come out and lets them know that she's in critical condition. That's all I can really tell you right now. She's, it's kind of like up in the air, but she's stable. She's in critical condition. Your mother, Monet, is in critical condition. So now they're just sitting there once more, and they're trying to, obviously they're trying to figure out who could have rolled up and shot, because, again, they shot up the entire front of the car, and we know that it wasn't Tariq who did this, right? But Diana doesn't know, because she made a plan with Tariq for him to do that. So we see Kane sit down and comfort Diana. He asks her, do you know who may have done this? She tells him flat out, Tariq. And so, he has a look of furiousness, and he tells her, I'm going to kill him. But then she's trying to talk him down by telling him, don't make no move, because we don't even know if mom is going to be all right, which is kind of puzzling, definitely for Drew to hear. But her explanation by speculating to Kane that Tariq is the one who did this is because Mom, Monet, sent Tommy after Tariq's mom being in protective custody. Mom exposed his family to somebody he knew wanted to kill. Tariq wanted to kill his family. And so, again, this is the fire she has lit to Cain to motivate him to want to go after Tariq, and he's expressing such. But again, now we're seeing the understanding of why she told Cain, okay, wait, don't make no moves yet, because we don't know if Mama's gonna pull through or not. She wants that to be motivation, like, don't go starting nothing until obviously she herself even wants to, have high hopes that her mom is going to make it, because again, she started to reverse her adverse feelings toward her mom, and now clearly she does not want her mother to die anymore. And so now Drew sits down next to Diana, and she makes it known to Drew that things did not go according to what the two of them planned, because she doesn't know for sure that Tariq actually pulled the trigger. However, and furthermore, the conclusion of the plan that Diana and her brother Drew had hatched is inclusive of revealing visually to us that although it was thought to be Monet being the one who delivered Sax's letter to Tommy's mother, which ultimately tipped Tommy off to the location of, Tasha and the rest of the family, that actually was not Monet who did that. It was Diana who took that letter to Tommy's mother, and she was disguised to appear as if she was Monet. And she told Tommy's mother, give this to your son Tommy, tell him it's from Monet. So, that's a further just like bow on top of the gift. You understand? As far as the planned out, but not so totally, thoroughly well planned out event to take out their own mother, Monet. So despite all that, Drew is compelling Diana, okay, look, forget it. You don't know for sure. You don't know that it was not Tariq who shot, but stick to that story. Just stick to that. Drew is adamantly telling Diana this. So, rounding up, we see the late Angela, who was the love interest of Ghost, aka James St. Patrick from Power. We see Angela's sister, Paz, and she goes to the, I think it's the police station, but either way, she's going to see the young man who had posed as a bum to go around Weston Holdings and ultimately grab some disposed of garbage from that property, which led to the entire and ultimate investigation and the uncovering of Weston Holdings being a Ponzi scheme, right? So this young man is Paz's son. He's Angela's nephew. And so she goes to see her son at work for the purpose of passing on some mail to him. What is this piece of mail? It's one of the letters that was authored by the now deceased Cooper Sachs, right? And the contents of this envelope, because he recognizes off the bat that, okay, it's from Cooper Sachs. This is somebody who, had just recently become a coworker of his. All right? Either way, he opens the envelope, that was addressed to him by Cooper Sachs, and it contains a flash drive. Wonder what all's on this flash drive? Right? And so we skip now to Tariq convening in the park after dark with his mother Tasha. And so this is their first time seeing each other since she knocked him unconscious when he was in the position of shielding her from Tommy having his gun aimed at her. So, his first question is, "You knocked me out." And she said, "You damn right I did, and I do it again." Kind of like, dude, I know you ain't complaining. Obviously, she saved his life. However, they're talking, and he ends up informing Tasha of some key things that she was not previously aware of, as far as him being under the hand of the woman named Noma. Now he has to work for her. She's this drug boss that he's under the control of, so on and so forth. So he's bringing Tasha up to speed on these key things, and also as far as the situation pertaining to Monet. Correction, he doesn't say anything to her about Monet. However, he informs her that he lost his trust fund, right? So that was the first thing he told her. Then he mentions Monet, and she's like, "Who the hell is that?" So he, like I said, gives her the summary about who Monet is, what she is to him, etc. So she's kind of, helping him strategize somewhat. But ultimately, she's kind of more so giving him advice or what have you, because he lets her know, I wish I had that power. I need some untouchable power right now, obviously, to, seek to navigate confidently going forward. And so she's kind of like bringing up his dad. She was like, "Yeah, your dad used to be like that, but he wasn't stupid." Because obviously Tariq is speaking from a position of frustration, okay? And so Tasha tells him, like, well, again, she's giving him a tip as far as how to navigate going forward with Noma. She was like, I kind of cleared the way already as far as Monet, because you can make a move with Noma. It would be a power play, though. And again, she's letting him know, like, you got to be real strategic. You got to be real careful doing it, because, it's a high probability it might not work. So you gotta make this move as smartly as possible. And so finally, he's paying a visit to Noma's warehouse, right? His firearm is taken off his person by Noma's assistant. And look, I just caught one of her assistant's name now. His name is Obi. We'll see if that matters going forward from this point, since I'm just now remembering his name. Nova's assistant is named Obi. He's the one with now the healing cut that Nova gave him down the length of his face, starting from right around his left eye. So this is Obi. He takes Tariq's firearm off of him, and Tariq gets to walk up to him and Noma. So he's talking to Noma. So Nova lets him know, like, well, what he approaches her with is asking her to die with her. Takes Tariq's firearm off of him, and Tariq gets to walk up to him and Noma. So he's talking to Noma. So Nova lets him know, like, well, what he approaches her with is asking her to work, like, directly alongside with her. He's offering, like, listen, I can work right from here if you let me get alongside of you, literally. And she's like, well, that's pretty bold, considering I heard you try to take out Monet, but you weren't successful. He tells her, I didn't do that. She's like, really? Because that's what I heard. Like, that's the word on the street. And so, from the back, out of the shadows, emerges the Tejadas, Cain, Diana, and Drew. And so, they're the basis of Noma telling Tariq, like, you sure you didn't do that? Because Obi's like, well, there's differing opinions about that. Well, the Tejadas being there are the reason why. So they're accusing Tariq, on the spot of trying to kill their mother, Monet. And Cain is like, oh, so you thought you was going to get away with it. Tariq is like, get away with what? She talking about? Drew's like, you tried to kill our mom. Tariq says, Diana, tell them what the real deal is. Diana's response is, shit, you almost killed me. You tried to take me out too. Not just my mama. And so then Cain pulls out his gun on Tariq, right? But out of seeming defenselessness, Tariq calls out a name. To which Noma tells Cain, hold on, wait. Don't shoot. Don't pull no trigger. Hold on. So Tariq has said the name of Noma's daughter. That's why she's telling Cain, don't shoot him. And so Nova's like, what did you say? He repeats. Tariq repeats to her daughter's name, which is Anya Covington. And he tells her, he pretty much, he's thrown out this name as a means of making leverage, establishing leverage. He said, I got people with eyes on her, so if you don't want nothing to happen to her, make sure nothing happens to my family. Ding! How? Right? But then, as if it wasn't surprise enough that the Tejadas have popped out from behind Noma and Obi, another individual also pops out, right? And Noma's kind of giving Tariq a little bit of props. She's like, oh, you always got a plan. You that type of boy. You're pretty clever, huh? But, again, we see another person pop up out the shadows. And that person is Effie. So now she's added to the collective bunch, standing against Tariq, literally standing against Tariq, right? Followed by, there's more. Followed by, guess who else? Guess who else shows up? Lauren. Wait. Sorry. Correction. Lauren did not pop up in that bunch. Lauren did not show up. Correction. So now, Effie was the last surprise face to pop up, standing against Tariq, right? And, he's like, what the hell? And she explains her presence, which is, I told Noma that you was threatening to come after her daughter. And so now I work with her. And so Noma completes the explanation by telling Tariq, yeah, so my daughter's in a safe place. In other words, she's letting Tariq know, like, your little fail-safe just fell flat. So here we go with Cain raising his piece again at Tariq. He said, man, I couldn't wait to do this. And right before it appears he's going to pull the trigger and take out Tariq, a surprise action occurs. And the lights go out. Can't really see shit except gunfire coming from behind Tariq. And this gunfire is aiming at Cain first and then all around the room. So everybody standing on Nova's side pulls out their pieces, and that is Effie and the Tejadas, and, because all of them were able to maintain having their guns But remember, Tariq's got taken off of him when he first entered. However, this protective support of Tariq is coming from, guess, who? Your boy Brayden. So Brayden saves the day. So it's just a lot of gunfire being exchanged. We don't really see anybody get hit as far as, anybody collapsing. We just see a lot of bullets flying in the air, a lot of sparks coming from guns in this darkness. And Brayden slides over a gun to Tariq after he takes cover. And so now they're both, returning the gunfire. And, they scramble up out of the warehouse. And they jump in Brayden's car. And so Tariq is like, man, what the fuck? How did you know to come here? Like, how did you have any idea, I was even here and all this? And so Brayden tells Tariq, Noma's assistant, Obi, he called me up. He let me know they was going to try to take you out. So he the one who gave me the tip to come and have your back. He was like, he said that he owed you. Wow, way to go, Obi. I never would have guessed something like that would come from Obi, as much as he would be cracking down on Tariq and really all of those students. But he really used to stay cracking down on Tariq. So clearly, the tables turned. And clearly he did that solid for Tariq in exchange because, he helped Obi out with getting green cards that he needed. Right? So he did Tariq a solid through tipping off Brayden and come and have his back. And so Tariq was like, I thought you said you was out. Brayden's like, dude, I wasn't going to let you just leave you like that. Like, dude, I found out what was happening. I got informed on what was happening. I was just going to leave you like that. So clearly Brayden sucked back into this drama. And so they speed off in Brayden's ride. They speed away from the warehouse. And that is the conclusion of Season 3, Power Book 2 Ghosts, Episode 10, Divided We Stand. Wow. I mean, success with it being a surprise ending, for sure. I give that up. I say that. I must say that. And so, connecting between my review of episode 9 and this one, like, to be transparent, I didn't really formulate that many predictions. It wasn't very clear for me to decipher what may happen next and who might have done what next, leading up to this end result of everybody that Tariq knows that was on his similar level going against him, right? I mean, I would have anticipated it, but not to the degree of specific details as far as what each character would possibly do. You see what I mean? It would have been a matter of me splitting in between saying, okay, well, Effie is either going to, stick beside him, or else he'll stick beside her, they'll stick beside each other, or else she's going to end up getting sentenced for trying to kill Lauren, right? So my predictions would have been along that line. But again, ultimately, I really didn't come up with any predictions between the prior episode and this finale here. So that just helped to streamline this dual review. Again, finalizing season 3 of this spinoff of the Power Universe. So next up is book 4, Force, season 2 convening. And remember, that's highlighting Tommy's character. So obviously, he got featured in this episode 9 and 10 as a refresher because, we're going to be focused back on his life. Obviously, he's not sticking around in New York, even though he made an appearance there to come after Tasha, Tariq's family, one more again. But Again, he gave the appearance that he's going to leave them alone. They're back on peaceful terms. They're back on familial terms. The last thing he said to Tasha was, "I love you too, Tasha." Like, he's accepting of, look, let's be family again. So the premonition is he's taking his ass back to Chicago or somewhere else. Who knows? He may not return to Chicago because he was dealing with that chick that was somebody else's girl, and she ended up getting killed. And so he kind of buddied up with the guy, but from what I remember, they were kind of on shaky terms. I think that guy kind of flipped the script back on him, like, I don't know if I can work with you. I don't know if I can be in arms with you side by side in this game. So I can make a little prediction for Force, okay, which is that Tommy's going to be checking out a whole new city. I don't think he will be returning to Chicago, because why would he? It wouldn't be positively ambitious, progressively ambitious for him to do so. If anything, it would just be a matter of him having death wish and just seeking out, facing the drama that he departed from, right? And who wants to do that? I mean, we know Tommy's crazy, but he don't got to be that crazy. So I think that season 2 of Force, he's going to be going to a new city. So, yeah.
So wait, I'm just remembering, I did see the preview, the trailer for Force, and he made a statement where he says, "I'm back." So that's indicative that he will be returning to Chicago. However, I think it is still a possibility that he might try to plant new roots elsewhere first before he decides he's going to go back to Chicago. But that's just a notion I have.
As for the next season of book 2 Ghost, who knows? Because we're not going to see that again either until possibly the end of this year, or else sometime in 2024, right? Reasonably. So it's way too early to make predictions for the next season of book 2 Ghosts. However, I think it's obvious to say that we know that a new cast member is going to be treated like somewhat prominent, and that actor is Michael Ealy. He's going to be part of the cast for the next season of Ghost. So to connect that dot, I'll guess that his character might, who will his character pertain to? I'm going to guess that whatever character Michael Ealy plays will be relevant to either Noma's daughter, since she's around, Tariq's and them's age, and a student at NYU. Perhaps Michael Ealy's character is going to be like Noma's daughter's like uncle, or like adopted dad, or somebody of that nature. He's going to play some role of that nature. And if his character is not related to her, then he might also be part of the legal team. Maybe they'll have his character be like a new investigator, a new cop, a new attorney. So that would make him parallel to either Davis, perhaps, or Jenny, Detective Blanco. Maybe he'll replace Sax.
Or Jenny.
Maybe he'll fill that role. That, again, relative to what Sax's character was doing. So either way, that's my speculation for season 4 of Ghost. whenever that may be. We don't know when that's going to be just yet. But it is estimated that book 4 Force is slated to premiere in September of this year, 2023. So that is what's to be anticipated next as far as the Power Universe goes. And this has been your girl Golden Dark Dame. So listen, for sure, this is not even a request right about now. It's a requirement. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel, Golden Dark Dame. Also, make sure you follow my IG profile. So on here on YouTube, as you see how it's spelled, you see what it is. On IG, GOLDNDARK_DAME.
And finally, if you didn't during this live review, make sure that you post in the comments section your thoughts on these last two episodes and share your predictions as you wish if you have them for the next season of book 2 Ghost and or your predictions for season 2 of book 3 Force. Want to know?
That's Golden Dark Dame. That's who I am, self-proclaimed DC's #1 Power Universe fan. From day one, I'm a day one viewer, I'm a day one fan, okay? Nobody had to talk me into watching this. I was drawn to it naturally on my own accord, and like I said, been representing the goodness of these programs since the very start. So I've been the one putting others on to checking out Power Universe ever since the start. Power, right? Hashtag Power Universe, power never ends, etc. So again, I'm Golden Dark Dame, and so this has been a dual review of episodes 9 and 10 from season 3, Power Book 2 Ghost. So make sure you share. Make sure you share it. Yeah, and don't miss.
Again, share your thoughts on with your future predictions on the upcoming seasons of Ghost and of Force.
Stay on top. Stay tuned. I will have other videos to come. So until I do the next one, again, make sure you follow me on IG at GOLDNDARK_DAME. Your girl, Golden Dark Dame. Remember,